On this episode of Locked On Angels, the Halos lose their first series of the year. So does it mean they suck? John and I will give you an answer in segment 3. Plus, we're going to share why Trout is the GOAT and Reed Detmers is not. It's time to get locked on with Mike and John, and this is Locked On Angels.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and SiriusXM by searching Locked On Angels. And if you'd like to give back to the Super Halo Bros for all the Super Halo content, here's some things that you can do. Leave us a rate and a review on Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Time to subscribe and become a Locked On everydayer. And whether you're watching or listening, come over to YouTube, leave a comment. It's one of the best ways to get in touch with us and be a part of the conversation. And this episode of Locked On Angels is brought to you by Monarch Money. You can take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Fridge Brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Mike, good to have you back, my friend. I hope you had a great time at the show with your son. Everybody was applauding you for being Dad of the Year, hanging out with your son, having a good time. Thought that was pretty cool. Hey, it's our 4th season as a host of Locked On Angels. We're here 5 days a week talking Angels baseball. Monday through Friday, we're recapping the series against the Astros. Everything that went down, all the highlights, all the lowlights, all the nonsense, and all the good stuff. Mike, I just want to shout out our friend Max for this hat. He designed this hat, and it's dang awesome. And so we actually tweeted it out from Super Halo Bros on Twitter. You can find where to purchase one if you'd like to. And also, I'm wearing our Super Halo Bros shirt today. So
you're repping everybody.
I'm repping everybody. If you want to get in the episode description, you pick yourself up a Super Halo Bros shirt. That goes a long way in supporting Mike and I and the show. So Mike, now that we got all that business out of the way, let's talk about Friday's game. Not great, Michael. Not great at all.
Not at all. And it didn't start off great that day. Jeff Fletcher tweeted that Ben Joyce was going to be placed on the 15-day IL with right shoulder inflammation. Real quick, when did it become 15 days again? I thought it was 10, or is there 2 of them? Did I miss something?
Pitchers are 15. And position players are 10 days. So nothing's changed. Pitchers are 15. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How did I not know that? I'm a host of Locked On Angels. I should know that.
it happens, man. It happens. And yeah.
Good to know.
15 days for the pitchers, 10 days for the position players.
Good to know.
It has everything to do with, the frequency in which they're in games, right?
Gotcha.
So I think it makes sense.
Thank you. And Michael Darrell Hicks was recalled. We've talked about him on this show. He had a tough weekend. Ben Joyce said that he thought he just had normal soreness, and then it started to just linger on, so he got it checked out. Also, Yoan Moncada went on the IL, and J.D. Davis was recalled. Moncada said, to be honest, his thumb has been bothering him for a while. It doesn't concern me. It's just he's just frustrated. It's just frustrating. He says, I want to feel good. So, Johnny, that was the initial news that we got. And then in this game, it started out great, and then it wasn't so great, right?
Yeah, Jack Kochanowicz got the start in this one, and it wasn't the hits that bothered him in this game, Mike. It was the walks, and that would be a theme here for the Halos this weekend.
Right.
With 2 outs and the bases empty in the 5th inning, Kochanowicz allowed the next 5 hitters to reach, and they all eventually scored. The first 2 hits Kochanowicz allowed were hard ground balls that got past Luis Rengifo and Tim Anderson. Jose Altuve hit a 1-hopper at Rengifo, who couldn't make the backhand play. And then Kochanowicz walked Isaac Paredes. Yordan Alvarez hit a ground ball just past a diving Tim Anderson, and the tying run scored. Here's what Kochanowicz had to say. He said, "I can't be mad about ground balls getting through. I pitched to contact. That's what happens sometimes. So I've just got to limit those walks." He finished with 4 2/3 innings, 6 earned runs, unfortunately, for Kochanowicz. Now, some of those were yielded by Garrett McDaniels, who came in after him. But here's the thing, Mike. I like the attitude of Kochanowicz saying, that's who I am. That's a pitch to contact sort of thing. And if they get through that, and I think you brought this up before the season started, or around the same time the season started, where baseballs are going to get through. They're going to get past the infielders, and that's what's going to happen. But when you're a pitch to contact guy and you're getting ground balls like that. So for
Right.
Kochanowicz to have that attitude about it, I appreciate the fact that he was like, it is on me. I can't be walking guys.
Right. Right. And he's typically not somebody that walks people, which
Sure.
was really his downfall on Friday night. If he didn't walk people, it wouldn't have been what it was. Now, I love this stat from Brett McGuire, Locked On Hall of Famer. He said in 2024, Kochanowicz threw his sinker 72.6% of the time, his slider 14%, his four seam, his sweeper, and his changeup were all used and it combined 13% of the time. But this year, he's reduced his sinker usage to just 45.5% of his pitches. So 72 last year, 45 this year, and he's increased his four-seam fastball and his slider usage to 29.4% and 22.4%. John, you had some thoughts, and you tweeted some things on Friday from at Locked On Angels on Twitter. What happened in this game? Obviously, the walks were an issue, but what did you notice?
You can't get through this game, and I know the Astros aren't a high strikeout team, but you can't get through the game of baseball if you can't have that strikeout in your back pocket. And we've talked about this preseason. We've talked about it in Kochanowicz's last few starts. He's got to have that strikeout pitch, and he does have the strikeout pitch, Mike.
Yeah,
he just didn't use it on Friday night because when he would get guys to a full count, look, you have the changeup, you have the sinker, you have a sweeper in there, right?
Yeah.
You have stuff that falls down. It goes from top to bottom. It's vertical drop, right? And so if you're getting hitters to look down at everything in the zone, throw a four-seam fastball at the top of the zone. Even if you don't hit the zone, throw it at the top of the zone, and that's going to look like a juicy fastball that they're waiting to hit, and they're going to be late on it.
Sure.
And Jack Kochanowicz can get great extension on his pitches too. So that fastball gets on you faster than it actually is coming at you. It looks faster, I should say, than it's coming at you. So all that to say, he didn't do that on Friday. And I went back and looked at the chart on Baseball Savant, and none of the fastballs he threw at the top of the zone, of which I think there were 4, none of them came with 2 strikes. And I think that's a big miss and something that they should really have Kochanowicz do.
Yeah. Here's a thought that I had while I was watching this game, and you can kick me off the show for bringing this up after I'm done, okay?
Uh-oh.
So apologies to Angela Ohapi, but Logan has admitted that there have been times where he called the wrong pitch. Do you think a part of this is Logan's development as well? Because I wonder, when he's out there, obviously he's in control, he's calling pitches. Now, Kochanowicz can shake him off. I don't see him shaking him off at all.
Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe Kochanowicz is really trusting the pregame strategy and the pregame plan. And I'm thinking that maybe Logan, where he needs to grow, is in those moments where pivots and adjustments are made, because you see that with Travis d'Arnaud. Now they struggled on Sunday. That's a whole nother conversation, but you see that with him in game, like, hey, this isn't working, or this isn't getting what we're hoping for. So let's pivot and let's try this. It sounds like these two young guys are really stuck to the script, and there's not too much permission, or in their minds, the ability to jump off the script to try something new. Am I right or am I wrong here? Can I stay, or are you going to kick me off the show?
You can stay, because what I'm going to say is that it doesn't all come down to Logan, Mike. You've got Sal Fasano, you've got Barry Enright. They all have their pregame thing. Travis d'Arnaud is part of that conversation as well. So if they don't know that Kochanowicz has that fastball at the top of the zone in his back pocket, then something's wrong here. And even if they do know and they're sticking to the script, somebody needs to come out there. Barry Enright needs to go take a walk and say, Jack, what are you doing, man? They're all looking down at your pitches. Sneak a fastball in there, get them to look up, get them to swing through it, because they will. And that's just something that they haven't done. So it's not anything that can't be overcome. And if you're Barry Enright or somebody in that dugout looking at what's happening, and you're going, man, these two guys, they're just really hung up on what we talked about pregame. Go out there and make a change and go talk about it. It's not cement. It's wet cement. You have the ability to change things around if you need to. So go out there and take a walk and have a conversation.
After Kochanowicz struggled in this inning, Wash came out, brings in Garrett McDaniels. He faces Yainer Diaz. that didn't work out. Diaz hits a grand slam, and it's now suddenly 7-2. Wash said it was a tough spot, no doubt about it. I believed that he could get me a ground ball or a strikeout. That's how much we believe in his stuff. He got a fastball up, by the way. Tell Kochanowicz that. And then Diaz didn't miss it. And once that happened, we couldn't close the gates. John, Brock Burke maybe is a better decision here. I didn't understand Garrett McDaniels here. And the reason why I didn't understand it isn't because I don't believe in his stuff like Wash believes in his stuff. It just feels like Garrett is in the midst of developing, and he had a really great, like, tight moment a couple of games ago where he got out of it. And it just feels like we're throwing him into the fire a lot. And I have a sense of, like, maybe we throw him in every once in a while instead of all of the time, because in my mind, it felt like this would be more of a Brock Burke situation than a Garrett McDaniels situation.
It's a pure stuff situation. And the fact is that McDaniels has the sinker that he went to the lab and worked on. And it's not a hard sinker like Jack Kochanowicz, but Mike, it's another sinker. And so the fact is like, it was a sinker that he didn't locate. And so I understand Wash saying, I thought he could get me a ground ball or a strikeout, but you just had a guy struggle,
right?
Whose primary pitch is a sinker.
So why are you taking him out?
So why are you taking him out and putting in another sinker ball guy?
Yeah.
Look, I'm with you. It could have been somebody else in that situation, but what I'm trying to say is I think Wash's train of thought there was, like he said, I could get a ground ball or a strikeout.
Sure.
But you're using a guy who is throwing a slower sinker than Jack Kochanowicz. I don't think that's going to work, my friend.
It just feels like in those moments that you bring in somebody with a different look and a different repertoire, right? Yeah. You bring in somebody that maybe can get a strikeout because that would have been awesome, right? You're still having to throw a lot more pitches. I get the ground ball idea, but even a Reed Detmers or something like that comes in that can almost guarantee you a strikeout is better than, I think, a Garrett McDaniels, who is kind of the same type of pitcher. Yeah. And Johnny, he wasn't even in the majors last year. This is the first time he's been in the majors, and he's only had a few appearances. It just feels like we're really relying upon him more than we should. That's just my initial eye test of that situation.
I mean, at this point, I think you're right, but at the same time, it's who they have in the bullpen. And, when you lose somebody like Hans Krause and then you release him and then you bring up somebody like Michael Darrell Hicks to take Ben Joyce's place. Darrell Hicks didn't have a great first outing, and he got called up last week, didn't pitch, and now he's back again and didn't have a great first outing. So this is the team that you have to roll with. This is the team that you have. And outside of Jansen, and I would even say Joyce and Zephyr-John and Burke, it's a little dicey when it comes to, Ian Anderson is your long man, Reed Detmers, we'll talk about him in Sunday's game. But the fact is that this is who they have. And that's on management. That's on Perry Manassian. That's on, getting somebody in this bullpen to help in those situations. I think it's going to be fine, but I think you're right. It's a lot of Garrett McDaniels very quickly and early in this season. Let's talk about some of the good stuff. Trouty hit his 6th homer of the game of the season in this game.
Yep.
Tyron Paris went 2 for 3 with a double and a walk. This was the 3rd time in franchise history that they've allowed at least 14 runs, 16 hits, 8 walks, 3 home runs, and 2 errors. The only other time was June 27th, 1996 versus Oakland, and May 4th, 1969 versus the Kansas City Royals. So just an ugly Friday night all around. But I will say, Mike, this is the first time in a long time that I see a loss like that. And I know it's cliche, but Mike Socha used to say, got to turn the page.
Yeah.
And turn the page they did, because they had a nice bounce back on Saturday. We'll get into that conversation coming right up. But thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. The Angels needed a bounce back game on Saturday. They would do just that. And what the heck happened with that fan and Mike Trout? Well, we'll tell you all about it and why Mike Trout is the GOAT. And we'll get into that in just a minute.
While you're enjoying Locked On Angels, you should grab yourself a snack, and Wonderful Pistachios is the snack that you should try out. We love Wonderful Pistachios around here, and you can too. It's a snack filled with a good source of protein. Wonderful Pistachios has the highest protein of nuts, and each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to keep you going all day long. 2 varieties are my favorite and John's favorite. There's the no-shell variety where you can, it's easy, just throw in your hand and pop it in your mouth. It's good for on the go. And then there's the in-shelled variety, which are great for games, especially watching Angel games when they win. So get snacking, get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Let's get into the details of Saturday Angels Astros. 2 big stories in this one. Tyler Anderson had a pretty good start.
Yep.
And Mike Trout getting the ball taken out of his glove. What the heck happened there, Mike?
Yeah, let's start with Trout, John. On a 2-0 count, Yainer Diaz hits a ball down the right field line. It's in foul ground. It's by that short wall in right field. Trout leaps up to try to make a catch at the end of the second inning, but a fan reached into Trout's glove to take the ball out, and it was ruled a foul ball and not a catch. So Trout immediately complained to the umpires, and the fan even immediately responded with, "I know I did something bad," right?
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
you've got the face down.
He said, "Do you want the ball back?"
Yeah. You could tell he wasn't trying to be malicious or trying to hurt anybody.
It wasn't Mookie Betts in New York, that's
Yes.
for sure. Those guys tried to rip Mookie's arm off. That was ridiculous.
And that's why those guys aren't in baseball anymore, and why this guy just got relocated. So the umpires, they convened. They ruled it was a foul ball after talking. They didn't review it, and they said to Trout that it hit the fan's hand first. So Trout even confirmed that afterwards. He said, "I didn't see it, but the umpire said it hit the hand." Security, of course, moved this guy around. Here's the good news, John, with everybody all fired up and up in arms. Trouty met up with this dad and the son and talked with him, gave him a bat, all that good stuff. It's why Trout is the GOAT. But I want to take it back.
Okay.
They didn't review it.
Uh-huh.
Why? It felt like a very reviewable play. You know what? We're on the fan council. Guess what we're bringing up? That's what we're bringing up at the next meeting.
Why
right?
do we have the technology if we're not going to use the technology? Why is this reviewable? This isn't reviewable. Why is a check swing not reviewable? Right?
Yeah.
It's just all kinds of mixed messages and conversations. So look, if it hit his hand and then Trout caught it, then it's a foul ball. It makes sense. I get it. But if you're not going to at least take a look and see what happened and look at it from different angles to confirm it. Look, I know it didn't affect the game, but it could have, because Yainer Diaz hit a grand slam the night before. So we're lucky that, that out didn't come for Trout right there, and it came a little bit after. But the fact is like, why are we just sitting on this technology and not looking at stuff? And, that's reviewable, but that's not reviewable.
Right.
And this we can look at, but we can't take a look at that. But this is an umpire review, so it's okay. Even though this team used 2 of their challenges already, we're still going to review it so that we can rule in their favor, so that we can, Rob Manfred's favorite team can win the game.
You know what they're going to tell us? They're going to tell us, well, you can't review everything because we have to watch the speed of the game, and we have to watch and make sure that everybody is paying attention. And
how often does this happen? Right.
Right. But what I found interesting was that the ump said it hit the fan's hand. John, you could barely tell if it hit the fan's hand on the review when it was slowed down.
Exactly.
I'm watching the game and they're doing it from multiple angles. And even as I'm watching the game, it was live on the MLB network. Yeah. And so I'm watching where the ball was and what was happening. And you couldn't tell. And the people in the studio were like, I don't know. I mean, that was a lot of what the conversation was. But then the ump's like, no, it hit his hand. Like, bro, you've got like Superman eyes, because the camera couldn't even identify if it hit his hand. Now, Trouty just kind of agreed with that. But then he also was told that once you reach in, it's kind of a free-for-all. But that guy, like, grabbed the ball out of his glove. Right. That was the thing. Like, he grabbed it. Obviously, it wasn't malicious, but he grabbed the ball out of his glove. And so the fact that it's kind of a free-for-all and that's kind of ambiguous is again, it feels just very silly to me.
We'll be very stringent about, this guy has, gray on his pitching glove, and that's not acceptable. He could hide the ball with the color gray, but it's a free for all when in the stands. So
I don't care if he threw your nachos and beer on you. Like, hey, it's in the foul territory, so it doesn't matter.
Free for all. But here's the thing: I don't have any ill will toward the dad, because
not at all.
What are you gonna do in that moment? I'm probably
I'm
doing
going
the same
for the ball too.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
So like, and the fact is, Trout met up with him. I don't know if you saw the video. We retweeted it on Locked On Angels on Twitter, and the kid, I think he's 9 years old, just the greatest day of his life.
Yep.
And it's so funny because they're decked out in their Astros gear, but they're just fanboying over Mike Trout. It's pretty cool to see
As
that.
they should.
Yeah,
As
exactly.
they should.
Exactly.
Second big story of this game was Tyler Anderson. Had a heck of a start, was throwing a no-hitter into the 5th inning, but had also thrown 81 pitches after 4 innings. So classic Tyler Anderson there. He ended with 5 2/3, just 1 hit. John, it was the 4 walks that really killed him.
Yeah.
And then the 6 Ks, 95 pitches. One of the moments that I thought was big for him was in the bottom of the 4th. He had walked the bases loaded. In fact, didn't give up a hit. 3 walks. And then he struck out Jeremy Pena, and then he got Yanner Diaz to strike out to end the inning as well. So it was a huge, huge moment for Tyler Anderson. When Anderson left, there were 2 on and 2 out, and Ryan Johnson comes in, and he again gets Jeremy Pena to strike out, which was great because that's what the bullpen needs to do in those moments, and that's what Tyler Anderson needs to do in those moments. It's what you want from a veteran like Tyler.
Well, and tell me, we talked about Garrett McDaniels in the first segment, and then you have a situation like with Ryan Johnson coming in. Mike, the difference there is the velocity and the stuff that you're throwing, right? Like it's different looks. Ryan Johnson's a big boy, so you know he's not throwing it low like Tyler Anderson. He's also got that weird, funky delivery that works for him. So that's a situation where it makes sense to go from Tyler Anderson to Ryan Johnson. And I also think that we're finally starting to run into the issue that we've been worried about, where you have Tyler Anderson going one day and Kyle Hendricks going the next day, different handedness, same kind of pitcher. And so you're giving guys the same kind of looks at the mound, especially when it comes to velocity. So the offense did do enough in this one to win it. Nolan Schonewell hit his first home run of the season, 103.3 off the bat, 27-degree launch angle. That's what you need, Mike. You gotta have that launch angle, and that's what's been missing from Nolan's repertoire. He's worked on the bat speed. It's up 3.9 miles per hour compared to last year, but he's got to lift the ball, and so we saw him do that on Saturday and Sunday. Trout had a 2-run single in the top of the first in this game, 14 RBIs across 49 at-bats. He had 14 RBIs in 109 at-bats last year, so the RBIs are happening quickly for Mike Trout. Nice to see Kenley Jansen come in to close this game, get his 4th save in 4 save opportunities. Not as dramatic as the Rays one, but still getting it done. And so that was great to see the Angels pick up the win in the bounce back victory, which they would need because Sunday was a loss. We'll talk about that here in a second. But interesting note about Kyron Paris, right, Mike?
Yeah, Kyron has been tearing it up. We all know that. And he had a hit and a stolen base in Saturday's game. And players with 5 home runs, 5 stolen bases, and 5 walks through their first 13 games since 1901. Here's some big names. Brian Roberts, Carlos Beltran, Larry Walker, Eric Davis, Ian Kinsler. Kyron Paris is on that list because he has been that good to start the season.
Yeah, 9-5 after this game and entering Sunday. The Angels would need that win because Sunday, something that hasn't happened this season happened. And it was very unfortunate for Angel fans, and we're going to get into what that means here in just a minute.
Don't look at your bank account and wonder where all your money went. You don't have to do that anymore because Monarch Money is here to help you. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And it's not just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, your investments, and your spending in one place so you can stop managing your money and start building your wealth. And you and your partner can manage and use your resources in a very practical way with Monarch Money. You can track shared accounts, personal accounts, setting goals, and you can stay on the same page without all of the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Again, monarchmoney.com. Use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB. You're going to get half off your first year.
Mike, Sunday's game was a loss, and unfortunately, the first series loss of the season for the Angels. Now, we'll get into the details, but I have to say, I'm a generational Mariners hater, but they swept the Rangers.
Yeah.
And by virtue of that, the Angels are still in first place right now in the ALS. I don't care what you say. I know it's early. Yeah. I know, take a screenshot. We won't last forever. Fine, I will. I'll take 100 screenshots and then I'll post them on your feed and see what you think about that. So tell me not to be excited about the Angels in first place. All right, I'm done. You go ahead.
So Angels did get off to a great start in this game. Taylor Ward hit his 5th home run of the season. It was a leadoff home run. John, he's got 10 career leadoff home runs. Is tied with Cole Calhoun for the most, third most in Angels history. Only Brian Downing and Darren Erstad have more.
Now, who told you to invest in Taylor Ward stocks before the season started? Come on, tell me.
Was it Dave? Was it Jeff? Which brother was it? It was you. It was you.
No, our other brothers invest in the real stock market.
Yes.
We invest in the baseball stock market.
Yes.
No, here's the thing. Taylor Ward crushes fastballs in the zone, but that's also his problem is he will let sliders go by. He will let, curveballs go by and he won't take a chance. And that's what his issue was earlier this season. I say earlier, it was like a week ago, but the fact is he was only swinging at fastballs. So he's taken some more chances. So again, if it's a fastball in the zone for Taylor Ward, chances are he's going to hit it and he's going to hit it hard. And so that's why he's already up to his 5th home run. And man, how quickly did he add those 5 runs? It all happened. He had his first home run, Wednesday night?
Tampa,
Thursday
yeah.
Night? Yeah. So, good grief, man. Way to go, Taylor Ward.
Yeah. Speaking of home runs, Kochanowicz hit his 2nd home run of the weekend and of the season in the 2nd inning. And that looked good. And then the Angels offense really didn't do much after that. We'll mention a Jorge Soler solo shot later on. But Johnny, they struck out 16 times in this game.
Yep.
And they were caught looking, I think, 7 of the 16. And so that was the biggest problem here is they didn't put the ball in play. And it's why they couldn't do anything offensively or come back. And that's going to be the Achilles heel for this team. It has been in years past. And the reason why they find themselves at 9-6 is because in the wins, they have been able to make good contact and they've been able to have productive outs, and they didn't do that yesterday.
Well, they let Hayden Wesneski do whatever he wanted up there, right? And so here's the issue is Wesneski throws Taylor Ward a fastball and it gets hit out, and he does the same with Nolan Kochanowicz. It gets hit out, and so he starts going with the sweeper, Mike, and he's locating that sweeper really well. Top of the zone, it looks like it's coming at you, and then it bends right into the strike zone. They let Hayden Wesneski do whatever he wanted on the mound. That's why they struck out so many times. They weren't fighting pitches off. It wasn't, it drives me nuts because on one hand, you see success from guys like Taylor Ward when they're looking fastball, but then that's all they look for is fastball.
Right.
And so you have to realize that, hey, we're beating the crap out of Hayden Wesneski's fastball and he's going to start using a sweeper. Might need to foul some pitches off, right? And so to sit there and watch it go by and to sit there and watch them strike you out looking.
Yeah.
Guys, you got to challenge a little bit more. You got to work some counts. You got to foul things off. I know that, if you foul it off, it's one more pitch. It's one more swing you got to make, but they got to work a little harder up there. They're not just going to give you the pitch that you're looking for when it's somebody like Hayden Wesneski and his ability to bend that sweeper right into the zone. They fell for it, Mike, and you got to foul some pitches off.
Yeah. And I think the issue for the Angels on the defensive side, specifically on the mound, was that they gave a similar look with Kyle Hendricks on the mound following Tyler Anderson. And listen, I was confident in Kyle Hendricks. I'm still confident in that guy.
Sure.
But I do think that the point that you have made on this show, even today, is that you have the same pitcher from the right-hand side on the mound that you did the night before from the left-hand side.
And I have the same concern about Jose Soriano and Jack Kochanowicz going back-to-back. Fortunately, the series was divided up between the Rays and Jack Kochanowicz against the Astros on Friday. But again, it's same looks on the mound. It makes me nervous, Mike. It really does make me nervous.
Yeah, I mentioned the Jorge Soler home run. It made it a 2-run game when he hit that in the 6th inning. And then, John, in the bottom of the 6th, Reed Detmers comes back in. And, John, personally, I'm a Reed Detmers guy, but this is why he's never going to be great. Because he came into the game, and the Angels were down by 2. And the first thing that he does is he leads the first thing he does is he gives a leadoff walk.
He
right?
gave it right back, right?
Yeah.
They get the run. And hasn't that been the problem of guys like Patrick Sandoval and Reed Detmers
Yes.
and Griffin Canning over the last couple of years, is that they get the lead and they
No
immediately
focus.
come back out and give it right back. And so
leadoff walk, then a single. Astros had a productive out, and then the Halos never were able to come back. So that was the weekend. It was a frustrating weekend. First time the Angels haven't won a series all season, and the haters
cooked. The
haters came out,
over.
right? The haters came out, and so we want to be the voice of reason and logic. So Johnny, give me the good and the bad real quick, and I'll give the good and the bad in my opinion.
Look, I am with you. I think I had confidence in Hendricks coming into this one. Here's the thing, Mike. I look at the way they are building the lineups, and I understand you want d'Arnaud and Kyle Hendricks to work together. I think that's fine, and it's worked out so far. Kyle Hendricks did not have a great game, and there's going to be games that aren't great throughout the season. This was one of them. Was it an important game? It was to you and me because we wanted to see the Angels win 5 series in a row. However, they still stand at the top of the AL West right now. They've got 3 games against second place Texas Rangers coming up, and so they have the chance to pad that lead a little bit and also take things into their own hands. And so if they come away from this road trip above 500, they've got 3 wins and 3 losses so far. They got 3 more against the Texas Rangers. It's gonna say a lot about this team. But the fact is this sort of game was going to happen. And when I think about the lineup that they ran out there, I understand d'Arnaud's the veteran. I don't think he needs to be batting 5th. I think that you can move some pieces around there, right? Because it's 5th in the order. Wash, you're sticking to your guns a little too much here, my friend, in terms of the veterans and whatnot, because you have Logan O'Hoppe in that 5th spot when he's catching. So maybe you move some pieces around. And so, I just didn't feel like the game to have Kevin Newman in the game as well as Travis d'Arnaud. You really kind of ran out a B+ lineup, not your A lineup. Felt like a B+ lineup, especially when we wanted this win so bad to have that 5th series win. So I'm a little disappointed in how things went. Mike, I believe Zach Neto is 6 days away maybe from finishing his rehab assignment. So it could be an entirely different conversation come this time next week when we see Zach Neto back with the Halos starting hopefully next week.
Yeah. The thing I would say pay attention to is FIP, fielding independent pitcher, because the Angels FIP is not great. It's especially not great when they lose. It's better when they win. So as a fan, pay attention to that, because that will be an indicator as to how things are going to go. Now, it hasn't been great and they're 9-6. So that's a benefit. Also, the thing that I would hang on to is that they're 9-6 and they've played most of their games on the road. And so the fact that they're 9-6 and they're playing really well on the road is a good indication that this team is pretty good. However, when they have a high FIP, that is a good indication that maybe perhaps they need to make some adjustments. And again, look at the deep dive numbers. You'll find that they're really good and they have low numbers when it comes to the victories, but in the defeats, they're getting crushed. And that's the thing that has made those numbers go a bit higher. It's why you can't look at those numbers too in depth until maybe after the first or second month. But those are things that we're going to be paying attention to. You should be paying attention to as an everydayer as well.
I'm looking at the standings, Mike. 9-7 for the Blue Jays, 9-6 for the Tigers, and 9-6 for the Angels. So we're still sitting pretty among some of the best teams and their records right now. And some guys are stumbling out of the gate, and some of the teams that you would expect to do well are having a little bit of trouble. I look at the Texas Rangers. They got swept by the Mariners. They're 5-5 over their last 10 games. So it really feels like it's anyone's race at this point. It's anyone's division. And I know it's early, but the fact is that the fact that they've gotten out of the gate so good so far, and they have the chance to take things into their own hands against the Texas Rangers this week, I think that's a very good position to be in.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Now for your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. You can find it on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, be sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter and Instagram. Whether you're watching or listening, come on over to YouTube. Find today's episode. Get in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. It's the best place to get in the comments and be part of the conversation with us. We do our best to respond to everybody there. Mike, what do we have on deck for Tuesday's show?
Well, with Ben Joyce out, should the Angels consider getting another bullpen piece? There's a name out there that's been thrown around, great bullpen guy over the years, somebody that you like. We're going to talk about him and if the Angels should get him, if the Angels would get him, and if the Angels would benefit from him being here tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that conversation. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Thanks for being here with us, everybody, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.
Tied for the best record in the American League. You can't beat that, right? Mid-April? Come on.
Nah, no, it doesn't matter.